Jungkook dropped his mic after Jimin's look. The arena fell silent. "Don't you dare lie to me on that stage, Jungkook." The words cut sharper than the lights that bathed the arena in white-hot brilliance. A million fans screamed, their voices blurring into a wall of white noise. But Jungkook didn't hear them. All he saw was Jimin, eyes dark as obsidian, jaw locked, sweat streaking down the curve of his neck, and the silent storm behind that stare. Then the mic slipped from Jungkook's hand. A hollow clatter echoed louder than the crowd's hysteria. The arena went silent. Not even the camera shutters dared click. Not a breath stirred as two idols, best friends turned something unnameable, stood 10 feet apart on a stage that suddenly felt like a battlefield. Jimin didn't move. He didn't need to. His stare did the speaking. And Jungkook, golden, untouchable Jungkook, felt every accusation behind that look. He knew what Jimin had seen backstage. He knew the code they never said aloud but always lived by, trust above all. He had broken it. Or had he? He couldn't even tell anymore. The lights dimmed as the set ended. The remaining members filed out, tension dragging behind them like smoke from a slow-burning fire. V glanced between them but said nothing. RM's mouth was tight. Suga rubbed the back of his neck like he was erasing something. Only Jin dared to linger, mouthing something unintelligible at Jungkook, whose mind was miles away, specifically, in that green room 43 minutes earlier. The flash drive, the envelope, the photo. He had found them taped under his makeup chair, no sender, no explanation. Just one image, Jimin, blood on his hands, kneeling beside someone who should have been dead. Someone the world thought was dead. And in the envelope, a message scribbled in Hangul, barely legible. "Tell no one, especially not him, you're next." He hadn't told anyone. He should have. But something in him refused to put Jimin in danger, or maybe he still didn't know what was real. The photo could have been doctored. It had to be. It had to be. And yet, that look. That goddamn look. Jungkook left the stage before the final bow. No explanations, no apologies. His footsteps echoed down the back corridor, metal doors slamming behind him as if trying to shut out the weight of what just happened. He didn't head to the green room or dressing room. He didn't trust anyone enough, not even himself. The hallway smelled of sweat and stale stage smoke, and still, the weight of that flash drive burned in his jacket pocket. He ducked into a storage room, cold, dark, silent. He exhaled for what felt like the first time all night, bracing his hands against a stack of unused equipment cases. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message. Wrong choice, he's already gone. Jungkook's blood ran cold. He bolted out, running blindly, heart hammering like it was trying to break out of his chest. Each door he flung open showed empty spaces. Tech room, green room, hallway after hallway. No sign of Jimin. Panic clawed up his throat. Then his phone buzzed again. Turn around. He froze. He did. Jimin stood at the end of the hallway, expression unreadable, eyes not the ones he knew. There was something colder in them, something cracked. You shouldn't have seen that, Jimin said softly, stepping forward. Now you've made things complicated. Jungkook stared at him, chest rising and falling with panic, disbelief, and something far more dangerous, certainty. This wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival. And maybe the end had already begun. You knew, Jungkook spat, breath shallow, fists clenched at his sides. You knew I'd find that photo. Jimin's steps were slow, deliberate, like a lion cornering prey. I was counting on it. The hallway buzzed with low electrical hums from the backstage lights. Somewhere beyond the walls, the roar of the crowd reignited, muffled like a dream. But here, between them, was a silence so sharp it could cut bone. You used me, Jungkook's voice cracked. What the hell is going on, Jimin? Jimin stopped just a few feet away now, close enough for Jungkook to see the faint tremble in his bottom lip, quickly masked by a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. I protected you, Jimin said, the only way I could. Jungkook laughed bitterly. By threatening me, By dragging me into whatever this twisted game is. Tell me, is that blood in the photo real, or is this just some next-level PR stunt to keep us relevant? That smirk dropped. For the first time, Jimin looked hurt. It was never about publicity, Jimin said, voice low. Do you really think I'd do something like that to you for clout? I don't know what to think anymore, Jungkook shouted, shoving him hard. Jimin stumbled back but didn't retaliate. We used to tell each other everything. Now I find cryptic messages and death threats taped under my chair. What changed? Jimin's jaw flexed. Everything. A door burst open behind them, Taehyung, face pale, sweat dotting his brow. They're looking for you both. Manager Hyung is freaking out. Neither of them moved. Taehyung's eyes flicked between them. Did something happen? Jungkook answered first, eyes never leaving Jimin. He's hiding something big. Jimin scoffed. Says the guy who went through my dressing room without asking. You planted that photo, Jungkook snapped. No, Jimin said. I planted the flash drive. The photo, someone else left that. Someone who wants us to turn against each other. Jungkook's breath hitched. Taehyung stepped forward, voice trembling. You guys, this isn't funny anymore. What are you talking about? We're not sure yet, Jimin muttered, but whoever's behind this is playing goddamn mind games, Jungkook cut in. Knows things only insiders should know. Taehyung looked terrified now. You mean like Sassings? Jungkook shook his head. Worse, this is someone inside. Jimin reached into his jacket and pulled out a second photo, creased, stained, and showing something that made Taehyung step back in horror. It was a shot of all 7 members, but Yoongi's face was crossed out in red ink, with the words "next to bleed" scrawled underneath. That was left in my bag, Jimin said softly. 2 nights ago, I didn't tell anyone, not even Yoongi. Jesus Christ, Taehyung whispered. Jungkook took a step back, the tension inside him coiling into something unrecognizable. This is why you didn't come to the after-party. Jimin nodded. I've been watching, waiting, trying to figure out who's doing this without drawing attention. And the photo of you with blood on your hands. Jungkook's voice was hollow. Jimin hesitated. Real, but not what you think. Explain. I can't. Bullshit. I can't, Jimin snapped. Because if I do, more people die. Jungkook looked like he might hit something, anything. But instead, he turned, slammed his fist into the wall, and let out a roar of frustration. Then, from behind them, came a new voice. So, the secrets are out. They turned. Namjoon. His arms were folded, but his expression wasn't angry. It was resigned, tired. How much do you know? He asked Jimin. Enough, Jimin said, but not everything. And you, Namjoon looked at Jungkook. I know I don't trust anyone right now. Good, Namjoon said, stepping into the hallway fully. Because if you did, you'd already be dead. Taehyung blinked. Wait, what? You know what's happening. Namjoon nodded slowly. I've been tracking the messages for weeks. Someone been leaking internal files, planting evidence, manipulating our rehearsals. Even our set lists were hacked during the Tokyo show. We thought it was a disgruntled ex-staffer at first. Now I'm not sure. Jungkook's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't you say anything? Because until tonight, I wasn't sure who to trust. And now you are, Jimin asked, incredulous. Namjoon looked them over one by one. I'm not sure about any of you, but I'm out of time. A pause. Yoongi's missing. The words hung like poison in the air. Taehyung's hand flew to his mouth. No, he was here before the show, I saw him. Gone, Namjoon confirmed. Vanished right before the encore. His pass was found on the floor of the garage. His phone was smashed in the stairwell. Jungkook felt the room tilt. No ransom, Jimin asked. Namjoon shook his head. No contact, just this. He held up a third photo. This one was darker, grainier. A silhouette unmistakably Yoongi tied to a chair, a gloved hand holding a scalpel, and behind him, scrawled in dripping paint, no one is innocent. Silence again. Longer this time, heavier. Then Taehyung whispered, "What do we do?" Namjoon looked directly at Jungkook. "You lead the next show." "What's me?" "Yes, you go on like nothing's wrong. Like we're whole. Like the family isn't breaking apart behind the scenes. We keep the illusion alive. Meanwhile, Jimin and I will dig deeper." Jungkook shook his head. "I'm not a puppet. If we're going to war, I'm not performing a damn circus act for the fans." Jimin stepped forward. "They'll know something's wrong if we disappear. That's what they want. Chaos, fear." "They?" Jungkook asked. "Who the hell is they?" But no one answered. And in that silence, a new message arrived on Taehyung's phone. He turned pale as ash. Then read it aloud. "5 days. One must fall, or the world sees everything." Jungkook looked from Taehyung to Jimin to Namjoon, heart pounding so hard it drowned out the stadium's roar outside. Who was next? And what secret was worth killing for? No one had answers. But the game had already begun. "I'm not choosing who dies," Jungkook said coldly, tossing the phone across the room. It hit the wall with a violent thud, battery clattering onto the floor like a last breath. "You might not have a choice," Namjoon replied, voice like iron. That message wasn't a bluff. Jimin stood by the window, half his face in shadow. "We don't even know what the world sees everything means." "It means exposure," Namjoon said. "Scandals, crimes, things none of us can afford to let out." Taehyung's voice cracked. "But who would do this to us, to Yoongi?" Jungkook's jaw tightened. "Someone who knows what we've done." No one answered. The silence wasn't empty, it was crowded with ghosts, regrets, secrets they'd never spoken aloud. They had always protected each other, but now the cracks were visible. The room they were in was an upscale hotel suite in Osaka, booked under a different name. Windows blacked out. No press, no stylists, no security, just the four of them, fractured, furious, terrified. The 5th day was tomorrow. Jungkook paced like a caged animal. If they want blood, why don't they just take it? Why send threats? Why make us choose? "Because this isn't about death," Jimin said, not turning from the window. "It's about breaking us, forcing us to turn on each other." Namjoon stood. "I traced the IP address from the last message." Every head snapped toward him. It pinged inside our own management office. Taehyung's mouth fell open. "What?" "HYB?" Jungkook asked, disbelieving. Namjoon nodded slowly. "A proxy route inside the building. Not definitive, but whoever's doing this has access." "So it is someone inside," Jimin said. "Or someone who used to be." "Sejin Hyung," Taehyung whispered. "He got fired after that Tokyo rehearsal leak." Namjoon didn't answer. He didn't have to. The idea hung in the air, foul and heavy. Jungkook sat down on the edge of the bed, burying his face in his hands. "I can't perform tomorrow. Not like this." "You have to," Jimin said, finally turning. "We're being watched." "I don't care," Jungkook said, voice muffled. "Let them watch." "I care," Jimin replied. "Because if we don't keep going, whoever's behind this wins." Jungkook looked up, eyes bloodshot. "We already lost. Yoongi's gone. We're lying to fans. We're pretending to be okay when everything's rotting under the surface." Namjoon crossed the room and knelt in front of him. "You're angry, I get it. But listen to me, if we fall apart, they release whatever they're holding. That doesn't just destroy us. That destroys everyone connected to us. Families, staff, millions of fans." "Then we tell the truth," Jungkook growled. "We go public." "And say what?" Taehyung asked. "That we're being blackmailed by a ghost from the inside, that one of us might be next." No one had an answer. And then Jimin said the unthinkable. "We sacrifice someone." They all froze. Namjoon rose slowly. "What the hell did you just say?" Jimin's expression was unreadable. "We fake it. A fall, a betrayal, something convincing, enough to buy us time." Jungkook stood, fury boiling over. "You want to fake someone's fall? Let the world cancel one of us just to appease a psycho." Jimin met his eyes. "Do you have a better idea?" The room spun with heat and disbelief. Taehyung's voice shook. Who would it be? No one spoke. Then Jungkook laughed darkly. Of course, me, the golden one. Make me fall so the rest of you can stay untouchable. Jimin didn't deny it. You bastard, Jungkook hissed. Don't you get it? Jimin snapped. You're the only one strong enough to survive it. I'm not your shield, Jungkook barked. Not anymore. Namjoon stepped between them. Enough. This is exactly what they want. Turn us against each other. You think I want this? Jimin shouted, voice cracking. You think I'm not dying inside every second he's gone, that I don't blame myself? Jungkook's rage faltered. Jimin took a trembling breath. I was supposed to meet him after rehearsal. He texted me to come down to the garage, but I was late. I got caught up talking to a fan. The silence hit like a gunshot. Jimin whispered, if I hadn't been late, maybe I could have stopped it. Taehyung sat down, tears pooling in his eyes. We're all falling apart. Namjoon looked at them, shoulders heavy. Then we fall forward, together. A long, aching beat. Then Jungkook said, I'll do it. The others turned to him. You'll what? Taehyung asked. I'll take the fall, Jungkook said. 1 week, enough to distract them. You leak something, maybe a fight backstage, a fake scandal. I'll vanish from the next show. You don't have to, Jimin began. Yes, I do, Jungkook said, voice calm now. Because if we don't take control of the story, someone else will. Namjoon nodded solemnly. We'll script it, every detail. But Jimin looked away, guilt etched into every line of his face. Later that night, as they finalized the plan, Jimin and Jungkook found themselves alone on the rooftop. The Osaka sky was velvet black, flecked with stars, as if the universe were watching in silence. You shouldn't have to do this, Jimin said quietly. I know, Jungkook replied, but I'm doing it anyway. Jimin hesitated. I didn't want it to be you. You always want to protect everyone, Jungkook said, his voice soft but steady. But sometimes you have to let someone protect you. Jimin turned to him, something unreadable in his eyes. Do you trust me? Jungkook looked at him for a long time. I don't know, but I still love you. Jimin's breath caught. And then quietly he said, I love you too. But the wind carried it away before it could land. The next day, the plan unfolded with brutal precision. A staged confrontation during rehearsal, a leaked audio file edited, Jungkook storming out of the arena in front of planted cameras. Headlines ignited within hours. Jungkook explodes backstage, leaves tour. Is BTS falling apart? The public didn't know the truth. That night, Jimin stared at his phone, watching the chaos unfold. He was alone in his room when the next message came in. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a live stream. Yoongi. Bound, gagged. Eyes pleading. And the screen went black. Underneath, one line of text. He falls next, unless the liar confesses. And for the first time, Jimin's hands trembled, because he knew exactly what lie they meant. The room smelled like cold coffee, stale air, and fear that had nowhere left to hide. The laptop screen still glowed faintly on the table. The frozen last frame of the live stream burned into all of their minds. Yoongi's eyes, wide, terrified, furious, and heartbreakingly alive. Jimin stood perfectly still in front of it, hands braced on the edge of the table as if the world might tilt and spill him off if he let go. Taehyung was the first to break the silence. Play it again. Namjoon closed the laptop. No. Open it. Taehyung snapped, voice shaking. Open it right now. Maybe we missed something, a clue, a sound, anything. Namjoon's jaw tightened. We didn't miss anything. They wanted us to see him. That was the point. Jungkook, who had been sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, finally lifted his head. Dark circles ringed his eyes. They said the liar. Jimin flinched. The movement was small, almost invisible, but Jungkook saw it. He pushed himself to his feet slowly. They meant you. Jimin didn't look at him. You don't know that. I do, Jungkook said quietly. You've been carrying something since episode 1. Longer than that, probably. Longer than all of this. Taehyung's gaze snapped between them. What lie? Jimin, what are they talking about? Jimin turned away, staring out the hotel window where the city glittered like a distant, indifferent galaxy. You think I wanted this, he said, voice barely above a whisper. You think I asked to be dragged into this mess? Namjoon stepped closer. Then tell us, right now, no more riddles. Jimin let out a shaky breath, a sound that felt torn out of his chest. 3 months ago, before the sole leg of the tour, a man approached me outside the company building. No name, no face I recognized. He said he knew about something that happened years ago, something we buried. Jungkook's stomach tightened. What something? Jimin's fingers curled into fists. A trainee, not from our line, from before you joined. Taehyung swallowed. The one who disappeared. Silence. Jimin nodded slowly. The air in the room grew heavier, like pressure building before a storm. Even the hum of the air conditioner seemed to fade. People say he quit, Namjoon said carefully. Moved overseas, started over. That's the story we were told to repeat, Jimin replied. But it wasn't true. Jungkook's voice was low. What really happened? Jimin finally turned, eyes glassy, haunted. He didn't leave, he was pushed out, blacklisted, destroyed, and I signed off on it. Taehyung gasped. You signed? I was 20, Jimin cut in, voice breaking. They told me if I didn't, our debut would be delayed, maybe canceled. They showed me contracts, consequences, threats dressed up as reality. I chose the group. The words hung between them, like a wound that had never healed. Jungkook stepped forward. You didn't kill anyone. No, Jimin whispered, but I didn't save him either. Namjoon closed his eyes briefly. So this is about revenge. Not just revenge, Jimin said. Punishment, exposure, humiliation. They want us to feel what he felt, abandoned, isolated, powerless. Taehyung covered his mouth, tears spilling over. And Yoongi. They took him because he was there that day too, Jimin said, voice raw. He argued with management. He tried to stop it. That's why his name was crossed out first. Jungkook's chest felt too tight. And the photo of you with blood. Jimin swallowed hard. That wasn't blood. It was stage paint from a rehearsal years ago. They twisted it, framed it, made it look like something else. A long silence followed, thick with guilt, anger, grief, and something dangerously close to understanding. Then Jungkook said, You should have told us. I know, Jimin replied softly. I was scared you'd look at me like you did on that stage. Jungkook's expression cracked, just for a second. I looked at you like that because I thought you were lying to me, to us. I was, Jimin admitted, just not in the way you thought. Namjoon straightened. We need to contact them. No, Jungkook snapped. They'll hurt him. They already are, Namjoon said coldly. We don't have the luxury of pride anymore. Taehyung wiped his tears. What do they want? A confession? Jimin nodded slowly. A public one. The words settled like a guillotine. Jungkook laughed bitterly. They want you destroyed in front of the world. They want all of us destroyed, Jimin corrected. This isn't just about me. Namjoon walked to the laptop and opened it again. The screen lit up, and this time, a new message was already there. A single video file. Titled, Confess MP4. Taehyung trembled. Don't open it. Jungkook leaned over Namjoon's shoulder. Play it. Namjoon hesitated, then clicked. The screen filled with darkness. Then a figure appeared, Yoongi, bound to the same chair, but now his face was bruised, lips split, eyes burning with fury and defiance. A distorted voice spoke from off-camera. Make him confess, Jimin, or we start cutting. Jimin inhaled sharply, hand flying to his mouth. Yoongi lifted his head, meeting the camera with unbroken resolve. His voice was hoarse but steady. Don't you dare. Jimin fell to his knees. Taehyung sobbed outright. Jungkook's hands shook, nails digging into his palms. This ends now. Namjoon closed the laptop with a sharp snap. We can't let them dictate the narrative. Jimin slowly pushed himself back up, tears streaking his face, but something hardening in his gaze. Then I'll confess. All three of them froze. No, Jungkook said immediately. They'll tear you apart. I don't care, Jimin replied. If it saves Yoongi, even for a second, I'll burn myself to ashes in front of the world. Taehyung grabbed his arm. We can find another way. There isn't one, Jimin said gently. They've cornered us. Namjoon looked at him, conflicted. If you do this, there's no going back. Jimin gave a faint, painful smile. There hasn't been a way back for years. That night, they set up a camera in the hotel's suite. No makeup, no lights, just Jimin sitting alone on a chair, raw, exposed, real. Before they hit record, Jungkook knelt in front of him. If you go through with this, you don't do it alone, he said softly. Jimin searched his face. You don't owe me that. I don't owe you, Jungkook agreed. I choose you. Jimin's breath hitched. The camera light turned red. Jimin looked straight into the lens. My name is Park Jimin, he began, voice trembling but clear. And this is the truth I should have told years ago. Hours later, the video was sent. Minutes later, the internet exploded. Headlines tore through the world like wildfire. Jimin confesses to trainee cover-up. BTS scandal deepens. Betrayal behind the spotlight. Fans rioted, critics roared, hashtags trended, opinions split like glass under pressure. But in the quiet hotel room, none of that mattered. Only one thing did. The phone buzzed. A new message appeared. No text. Just another video. Jimin's hands trembled as Namjoon pressed play. Yoongi was still alive. Beaten, exhausted, but alive. And this time, he was smiling faintly. Then the screen went black, leaving only one line. Truth bought him time, but time is not mercy. Jimin closed his eyes. For the first time since this nightmare began, the room didn't feel like the end. But it didn't feel like salvation either. Only something far more dangerous. The waiting. The hotel room was dark when Jungkook woke, the dim red light of the standby camera blinking like a heartbeat. Sweat clung to his skin as he sat up, disoriented, the echo of Yoongi's bruised face still burned behind his eyelids. Across the room, Jimin sat hunched in a chair, staring at his phone like he could will it to stop buzzing. News alerts, mentions, death threats, apologies, fan wars. I told the truth, Jimin murmured without looking up, and they still want me dead. Jungkook rubbed his face with both hands. You didn't tell them everything. No, Jimin said. I told them what they needed to hear. Taehyung stirred on the couch, groaning softly. Can someone turn the world off for an hour? Don't tempt me, Namjoon muttered from the kitchenette, stirring instant coffee with the handle of a toothbrush. The silence that followed was thicker than steam. Then Jungkook's phone lit up with a new message, not from the group chat, not from HYBE, not from the sea of notifications clawing for attention, a private number, unknown. He opened it. 3 words. It wasn't him. His pulse spiked. Guys, look at this. Namjoon took the phone, read it twice. What does that mean? Who are they talking about? Taehyung sat up. Yoongi. No, Jimin said, slowly rising to his feet. Me. The message pinged again. You were a pawn. The real traitor wears a smile. Namjoon's brows furrowed. They're saying someone else orchestrated the cover-up. Jungkook narrowed his eyes. But who would have had the power to do that and frame Jimin? The room fell into a tense hush. Then Taehyung spoke, hesitant. What if it wasn't someone at the top? Namjoon turned to him. What are you saying? I'm saying, Taehyung began, maybe it wasn't a manager or an exec. Maybe it was one of us. No one spoke. The silence was blistering. Jimin's voice broke the stillness. You think one of us, one of the members, did this? Taehyung looked away. I'm saying someone knew. Someone let it happen. Maybe even manipulated it. Maybe they wanted debut more than anything else in the world. Jungkook shook his head. No, that's insane. We've all bled for this group. Exactly, Taehyung snapped. And some of us bled more than others. Namjoon's expression darkened. If what you're suggesting is true, that means we've been living with a traitor for 10 years. The weight of that possibility flattened the room. Then Jimin's phone buzzed. A new video. This time, it was different. No Yoongi, no threats, just a hallway camera, security footage. Blurry, grainy, dated 3 months ago. It showed a figure in a hoodie entering the executive wing of HYBE's building late at night. The time stamp read 2:13. The figure moved quickly, confidently, swiping a key card that was clearly not their own. Then the figure turned. The image was poor, but the face was unmistakable. Jungkook took a step back. No, he whispered. Namjoon grabbed the phone, froze. Taehyung covered his mouth. Jimin stared. The face in the video was unmistakably Jin. Everything stopped. He's in the military, Jungkook said, trying to breathe. He couldn't have. That footage is from before he enlisted, Jimin whispered. Namjoon paced. No, there's no way. Jin Hyung wouldn't. He's always been the protector, the one who looked after us. Taehyung's voice was thin. Unless he was. Don't, Jungkook snapped. Don't say that, not about him. But he had access, Jimin said. He was close to the board, to the legal team, and he's the only one who ever got those kinds of late-night privileges. Namjoon looked physically ill. If Jin was part of this. Jungkook ran a hand through his hair. Why? What would he gain? Control, Jimin said quietly. He always feared what would happen when we started slipping, when scandals emerged. He used to say, better to control the story before the story controls you. Taehyung spoke again. What if the story he wanted was one where he was the hero, where he saved the group from destruction, even if he had to light the fire himself? Namjoon's voice cracked. We don't know that. But someone sent this to us, Jimin said. Someone wants us to know. The phone buzzed again. Truth has a price. If you want Yoongi back, bring the Judas to the rooftop. Midnight, no press, no police. Jungkook's throat went dry. They want us to bring him. But he's in military service, Namjoon said. There's no way to reach him. Jimin's voice was low. Not unless he never really left. Taehyung stood up slowly. Are you saying he faked it? Namjoon nodded grimly. He has enough influence. If he had help from inside, he could have arranged a false deployment, especially if he needed to disappear while the first moves were made. The room reeled. Jungkook's phone buzzed once more. This time it was a picture. Jin, standing on a rooftop, holding a key. The text beneath it chilled them to their cores. I was always the key, but now the lock has changed. Jimin whispered, he's waiting. The rooftop was 4 blocks away, atop a derelict theater once used for fan events. They made the walk in silence, disguised in black hoods and masks, every footstep heavier than the last. When they reached the door to the roof, Jungkook hesitated. I still don't believe it. Neither do I, Namjoon said, but we need answers. Jimin pushed the door open. Jin stood there. Not in uniform. Not in chains. But in a charcoal suit, hair swept back, expression unreadable. Hello, brothers, he said softly. No one spoke. He smiled faintly. You've come to confront your villain. Taehyung stepped forward. Why? Jin looked up at the sky. Because you never saw me, you saw a mask, a joke, the Hyung who cooked and hugged and fixed the broken pieces. We loved you, Jungkook said, voice shaking. I know, Jin said, and something in his eyes cracked. And I loved you too, enough to protect you from what you were too blind to see. What did you do to Yoongi? Jimin asked. Jin looked away. I didn't hurt him, I saved him. Namjoon's voice was rough. Saved him from what? Jin's smile faded. From all of you. Jungkook stepped closer. Where is he? Jin opened a small case beside him. Inside was a single earpiece. He offered it to Jungkook. Put it on, he said. Jungkook took it slowly, hands trembling, and placed it in his ear. There was static. Then a voice. Weak, familiar. JK. Jungkook gasped. Taehyung, are you okay? Where are you? I'm safe, Yoongi said. For now. Why is Jin doing this? There was a long pause. Then Yoongi whispered, because I asked him to. Jungkook staggered back. The others stared. Jin finally spoke again. This isn't about betrayal. This is about liberation. You were all pawns in a machine that never cared about you. I broke the chain. Namjoon's voice was cold. At what cost? Jin's eyes glistened. At every cost. And then, from the shadows of the rooftop door, a new figure emerged. Yoongi. Alive. Bruised. But walking. And staring straight at them like he didn't recognize who they were anymore. Jimin choked out a whisper. What have we become? Yoongi said nothing. He didn't need to. Because some truths don't scream. They burn in silence. Yoongi's face was a battlefield. Bruises mapped across his skin like twisted constellations. A split lip stitched with dry blood. One eye half shut but burning with something that looked far more dangerous than pain. Disillusionment. He stood in front of them, not like a brother returned from the edge, but like a stranger with a story none of them wanted to hear. Jungkook was the first to break the standoff. His voice trembled. You asked for this. Yoongi looked at him, and the weight in his eyes was heavier than anything he'd carried on tour. I asked for the truth. Taehyung's voice cracked. Taehyung, you could have been killed. Yoongi gave a humorless smile. Maybe I should have been. Don't say that, Namjoon growled. Don't even joke. Yoongi's eyes slid to Jin, who stood beside him silently, like a soldier who had already accepted his court-martial. He kept me alive, Yoongi said, when no one else would have believed what I knew. What you think you know, Jimin cut in, voice sharp. None of this theater, this twisted game, you didn't have to disappear to find answers. You could have come to us. I did, Yoongi said calmly. I came to you in fragments, in warnings, in silences, but none of you listened. Jungkook stepped forward. Tell us now, everything, start from the beginning. Yoongi's gaze flicked to the skyline. Neon lights blinked in slow agony across the city. 3 years ago, he began, I found an expense report in the archives. It was supposed to be deleted. A payout to a trainee's family, a non-disclosure agreement. I didn't recognize the name, but it was signed by one of our own. Jimin froze. That's not possible. Yoongi didn't blink. The signature was forged, but the trail led to something deeper. The same day that trainee disappeared, 2 of our songs were pulled from the release lineup. Why? Namjoon frowned. They said it was licensing issues. That's what they told you, Jin muttered. But one of those songs sampled an unreleased demo, his demo. Jungkook's chest tightened. Wait, are you saying we stole his work? I'm saying we were given his work, Yoongi replied. Told it was internal, told it was cleared, but he never consented. Taehyung's voice was barely a whisper. Oh my God. And when he found out, Yoongi said, he threatened to go public. That's when he vanished. Jimin's face was pale. They told me he was unstable, that he had broken into a manager's office. They told me I was protecting the group by staying quiet. You were, Jin said gently. Just like I thought I was protecting the group by controlling the narrative. But you both were just playing the same game, Namjoon said, voice hardening. Lying to yourselves. Yoongi nodded once. They used all of us. They used your loyalty, your fear, your silence. We were too famous to fall, too powerful to be seen as victims. Jungkook shook his head. Why didn't you tell me directly? Because you still believed in the dream, Yoongi said, and I couldn't be the one to kill it for you. The rooftop wind picked up, pulling at their clothes like cold fingers. The city below moved on, unaware that idols were bleeding on the edge of their own myth. So what now? Jimin asked, exhausted. We confess, we burn everything down. Yoongi stared at him. You already started the fire. Now you have to decide whether to put it out or let it spread. Taehyung's voice was thick with tears. The fans, the staff, the people who gave their lives to build this, what happens to them? Jin finally spoke again. We tell the truth, and we let the world decide who we really are. No, Namjoon said, suddenly fierce. We take the story back. We show them everything before someone else twists it again. We own the truth. But it will destroy us, Jimin whispered. Jungkook looked around the group, eyes burning. Maybe we deserve to be destroyed, but at least it'll be by our own hands, not theirs. Yoongi nodded slowly. Then we make a film. The others blinked. What? A documentary, he said. Not PR fluff, not management approved. Our story raw, unfiltered, ugly. The rise, the lies, the silence, the cost. Jimin laughed bitterly. They'll sue us into oblivion. Let them, Jin said. We've survived worse. Taehyung looked between them. Will people still love us? Namjoon gave a faint, sad smile. That's not the point anymore. They made the decision there, on that rooftop, under the same sky they had once prayed beneath as trainees, to expose it all, not just for the boy who vanished, but for themselves, for the millions who never saw the price behind the perfection. By morning, they had a name. 7 Shadows. The production began in secret. Hidden cameras, old footage unearthed, conversations recorded in whispers and tears, days blurred, security was breached, phones tapped. HYBE sent lawyers, threats, cease and desist notices. They kept going. Yoongi narrated. Jimin cried on camera. Namjoon showed receipts. Taehyung broke down during a confession. Jungkook screamed off camera, punching a wall during an edit that cut too deep. Jin disappeared again. And when the first trailer dropped, the world held its breath. It was not polished. It was not clean. It was not safe. But it was real. And when the final voiceover played, Yoongi's voice, tired but defiant, it echoed louder than any chorus they'd ever sung. This is not a fall from grace. This is the truth we owed you, and the truth we owed ourselves. In the aftermath, sponsors pulled out. Fan accounts split like tectonic plates. Some burned their merch. Others tattooed the word resistance in Hangul across their arms. The industry shook. Other idols began to speak. And somewhere, in a quiet apartment in Daegu, a mother watched the full film with trembling hands, tears rolling down her cheeks as her son's name was spoken aloud on screen, for the first time in a decade. And in a dimly lit studio, the 7 shadows sat together, older now, scarred, but free. No choreography. No cameras. No masks. Just brothers. And the silence, finally, wasn't a weapon. It was peace.